Mistborn, Book 1, The Final Empire. Part 1, Survivor of Hathsin. Vin, a young street urchin girl, is part of a thieves guild under their leader, Cayman. Growing up on the streets, Vin has lived a life of fear, having been constantly talked down to and beaten down into submission. Her breaking point came from her brother Reen, who left her as he always said that he would. Vin wears one simple stud earring, which was her mother's. Vin recalls her mother having a sort of psychotic break and slaughtering Vin's sister when Vin was very young. She believes that she also would have been killed if not for Reen's intervention. Cayman, the thief leader, has been using Vin as a good luck charm, and she has indeed inadvertently been the pivotal reason for his growing success. This hasn't gone unnoticed, and Vin has been drawing the attention from a Steel Inquisitor as well as Kelsier. Kelsier intervenes and rescues Vin from her predicament. Kelsier knows that Vin has abilities, gleaned from seeing her subconsciously soothing enemies of Cayman, hints to her good luck charm status. He tests her and quickly discovers she is not a mere misting, someone able to burn one metal, but a Mistborn, thus able to burn all of the different elementic metals. Kelsier uses Vin's old thieving den as a meeting place to pitch his insane plan of overthrowing the final empire by leading the oppressed Ska people into a rebellion and killing the Lord Ruler, who has been in power for thousands of years, by using the forgotten 11th metal. Kelsier claims the 11th metal is the only thing that can kill the Lord Ruler. Eventually, everyone, Breeze, a misting soother able to soothe or rally someone's emotions, Dachshund, not a misting but very good at getting things done, Clubs, a misting smoker able to mask the crew's powers from detection, Hammond or Ham, a misting thug capable of strengthening his physical prowess tenfold, Yeadon, the Ska rebel who contracted Kelsier's crew for this plan of overthrowing Luthadel, Spook, a misting boy, nephew to Clubs who speaks primarily through street slang and has a crush on Vin, and Marsh, Kelsier's own brother, a misting seeker capable of sensing the burning of metals, agree to Kelsier's insane plan, despite Marsh's reluctance to trust his brother's intentions. Understandably so, for Kelsier is known for being an egomaniac, but is supposedly a changed man after his escape from the pits that snapped him and awoke his latent Mistborn abilities. Kelsier breaks into Keep Venture, a noble house, in order to steal some atium, the rarest of metals due to its overpowered future-seeing ability when burned. Atium is mined for the Lord Ruler out of the same pits Kelsier escaped from. Kelsier gives Vin her mist cloak and begins training her as a proper Mistborn. She encounters her first Mist Wraith, a gross, ghost-like creature that eats the dead and takes on aspects of their appearance. Despite their looks, they are relatively harmless. Kelsier then takes Vin out of Luthadel to Felice, first offering her an out, which upon consideration she declines and decides to carry on with the plan. They arrive at Lord Renew's estate, where the real Renew has been replaced by one of Kelsier's men, and it is decided that Vin will play the part of Renew's cousin's daughter, of whom he is fond of. Part 2, Rebels Beneath a Sky of Ash. Vin meets Sazed, who is a terraceman who Kelsier bids to keep Vin safe. Vin, with her new role, will be attending balls held by the noble houses in order to glean and seed information to and from the various nobles in attendance. Vin furthers her training as a Mistborn with Kelsier, as well as training with members of the crew to gain knowledge in their specific abilities in order to try to master all of them. On top of all that, perhaps her most demanding task is training to become a proper noble lady in order to fool the nobles at the balls. They are informed that Vin's old Thievings Guild hideout was discovered by the Steel Ministry. Everyone was slaughtered, with a special death reserved for Cayman for his abuse of allomancy, for it is assumed that he knew that Vin was a misting all along and was using her to his advantage. Vin attends her first ball where she attracts the eye of Elend Venture, one of the most powerful young noblemen whom she quickly begins to fall for. She also catches a glimpse of her father, an obligator that Reen had pointed out for her when they were much younger, before he had abandoned her. Feeling excluded, Vin tails Kelsier into Luthadel via a metal path for fast travel. Kelsier catches her tailing him and against his better judgment agrees to take her into Creedic Shaw to attempt a repeat of the heist in which he was betrayed by Mare, the love of his life, and thrown into the pits of Hathsin. The heist's intent was to break into the mysterious room the Lord Ruler visits for 3 hours every 3 days in order to hopefully find a weakness in the God Emperor. They are quickly discovered and are separated as Kelsier tries to distract the Inquisitors to allow Vin to escape. This is mostly unsuccessful as Inquisitors seem to have special interest in her, asking after who her father is. Vin manages to somewhat escape, but not after having grabbed a random book on the way out. Vin is quickly discovered again and is bleeding out, about to be finished off when Sazed, of all people, mysteriously saves her from the Inquisitor and carries her back to the club where Kelsier is getting chastised for allowing Vin to accompany him. Part 3. Children of a Bleeding Sun. After her near fatal wounds, Vin is bedridden for 2 weeks. After gaining enough strength, she travels to Felice and confronts Sazed about his rescue of her, and he tells her of his people's abilities as keepers, how they can store up physical attributes as well as knowledge in order to buff themselves later. So, if a feruchemist were to debuff themselves and be in a weaker state for a period of time, they can store up that energy and use it later as a buff, which is how he was able to save her from the Steel Inquisitor. She also learns that he, like many others, is a eunuch, courtesy of the Lord Ruler, who has been trying to stamp out all of the feruchemists. Vin continues to attend balls and finds herself around Elend, which draws the attention of Elend's fiance, or maybe ex-fiance, Shan, who keeps poking around Elend's books in an obvious ploy to gain some dirt on the man. Vin also notices how Elend is always running off with his odd alliance of friends, Yastes Lacal and Teldon Hasting. Kelsier continues to manipulate the noble houses into a war in order to ensue chaos among them. The book that Vin stole out of Creedic Shaw is being translated by Sazed and appears to be a journal from the Lord Ruler himself, Alendi, detailing his journey to Ascension. Kelsier travels out of the city to the caves where his Skull army is being trained by Ham. To boost morale and further the ever-growing legend surrounding Kelsier, he has a vocal non-believer, Bilg, a bulky man, duel against Demu, a much less skilled and smaller man. Kelsier uses Allomancy to guarantee Demu victory over Bilg and make an example of him. Kelsier relieves Ham to return with him and leaves Ydin in charge of the army in his stead. From Doxan, Vin discovers just how horrible the nobility treat the Ska people, how they frequently would rape Ska women and then, according to the law, kill them after they were done with them, which is what was also done to a woman Doxan loved. This line of thinking leads Vin to ask Elend if he had slept with a Ska woman. He reveals he had done so when he was 13, but against his own will by his father, the Lord Venture, who wanted him to become a man. Vin spies on Elend's meeting with his friends and discovers that they are having secret meetings to fantasize how, when they have more power, they will change the final empire for the better. It is discovered that the Skull army has attacked the Holstep garrison and that Valtru's garrison army is on its way to intervene. Scared of the outcome and confused by the Ska's foolish attack on the garrison, Kelsier and Vin flare Pewter to run at an increased speed all the way to the Ska's aid. They arrive too late though, and the Ska army is all but doomed, surrounded by the enemy. So at the persuasion of Vin, they head to the caves and find 2,000 men, a fraction of the original army, packed and ready to depart at a moment's notice. They discovered that Ydin led a large portion of the army to attack the garrison for combat training. apparently completely unafraid of losing because of how Kelsier had showed them how invincible they would be during the staged fight he manipulated between Bilg and Damu. Part 4. Dancers in a Sea of Mist. Upon returning back to Luthadale, the team can't see how Kelsier's plan has any chance at success, with the Skaw army in shambles and executions ordered by the Lord Ruler to show the people what happens to those who rebel. Morale is at an all-time low, but Kelsier, with a riveting speech, eases everyone's doubt and the plan continues. Marsh, who has infiltrated the Still Ministry, has supplied a map detailing the locations of the Lord Ruler's soothing stations. The House Wars are in full swing now, and Elend attempts to convince Valette, Vin's alternate persona that she uses when she acts the part of a noblewoman, to leave the city, and also reveals that House Venture are the ones in charge of the ATM mining for the Lord Ruler. Afterwards, Ellen learns from Yastes that Valette is not who she claims to be, so Ellen hires spies to uncover the real truth. At the Venture Ball, tensions are high, with everyone solidifying their alliances for the House War, and Vin discovers that there is going to be an assassination attempt on Ellen by none other than Shan, Ellen's ex-fiancé. Strav Venture, Ellen's own father, is also in on the plot. Vin manages to intervene just in time, killing multiple Allomancers in the process. She even manages to kill Shan, who is a full Mistborn, in an epic battle where in the end she tricks Shan by extinguishing her ATM early. Vin, wounded, makes it back to Clubs' shop where she tells Kelsier of her newly found ability of piercing copper clouds, meaning she can detect if and what metal someone is burning even if it's being masked. And her belief that Inquisitors can also do this, which may help prove Mare's innocence, that she did not betray Kelsier and get him sent to the pits. Vin and Kelsier leave to meet up with Marsh, but find a mutilated corpse in his place. Assuming that they had been found out, Kelsier orders everyone to retreat to the backup lair. Kelsier, distraught, goes to the pits of Hathsin and destroys all the crystals which produce the Atium. Meanwhile, Ellen finds out more about Valette's secret, that she is actually a Skaw herself. He is also taken before his father, who reveals to him of the assassination attempt, and Straff promptly leaves the city, hoping that Ellen, who stays behind, will perish in his place for allowing the destruction of the pits of Hathsin. Upon returning, it is revealed that Spook was captured trying to get Renew out of the city, and is taken to executions. Kelsier, not to be dissuaded by Vin yet again, intervenes and faces off with the Inquisitor Bendel. Renew gets an axe to the back, and Ellen nearly dies trying to find Valette. Kelsier, despite his hatred towards noblemen, saves Ellen, for he knows that Vin loves him. Kelsier defeats the Inquisitor in an astounding duel, but then allows himself to be killed by the Lord Ruler in a show of defiance for all to witness. Part 5. Believers in a Forgotten World. After Kelsier's death, the group intends to disband, but then a group of Skaw catch their attention, claiming that Kelsier came to them after his demise. Kelsier's real plan began to dawn on them, that he always intended to die, to become the Skaw's messiah and be the thing that they needed to rebel. They then go to Kelsier's warehouses where Orsier, a Khandra, is wearing Kelsier's body. He reveals that he was actually Renew all along, and he ate the bones of Kelsier as instructed in order to take on the form of Kelsier and reappear in front of the Skaw people after his death. Orsier then gives out Kelsier's orders to the crew, and they begin handing out weapons to the growing Skaw rebellion forming outside. Vin is given a bag containing some atium beads and the mysterious 11th metal, along with the picture of the strange flower and its colors that Mare was always so fond of. For Kelsier always believed that it was possible to get the world back to being lush and colorful with a blue sky, green plants, opposed to the dreary mist and ash-filled world that they are so used to. He had wanted, no, was determined to do this for Mare. Vin then realizes what she must do and swallows the 11th metal, heading to the room within Creedic Shaw where she nearly died not long ago, in order to kill the Lord Ruler. Vin makes it to the room and finds an old man inside. While burning the 11th metal, she is able to see multiple past versions of this old man. She is captured but not killed because the Steel Inquisitor Carr knows that her father is Tavidian, an obligator who slept with a Ska woman and did not kill her after. Carr uses this knowledge to get the Lord Ruler to hand the Steel Ministry over to the Inquisitors and away from the Obligators. Tavidian, Vin's father, is then brutally killed. It is here that Vin discovers her brother, Reen, did not leave her by choice, as she always thought. He was actually captured and tortured to death and was able to protect Vin clear up until the end. The crew find out Vin has been captured by Gorodel, a guard Vin had spared upon her arrival at Creedic Shaw. Elend also finds this out and heads to assist in her rescue, but not before Sazed got himself purposely captured and thrown into the same cell as Vin in order to use his ferrochemy to bust her out. With the help of Elend, Sazed, and Gorodel, Vin once again makes her way before the Lord Ruler, who was the same old man she saw in that room, but younger now. Vin begins to lose the fight, but then Marsh, not dead, actually a Steel Inquisitor himself now, shows up having killed a ton of Inquisitors behind him by pulling out their linchpin spike, their greatest weakness. Marsh quickly dispatches Carr, but then fails to do the same to the Lord Ruler, who doesn't have a spike. The Lord Ruler pushes everyone away, and Vin begins to understand how to kill the Lord Ruler. She realizes that in the journal, they were wrong in assuming that he was the man Alendi in the story. The Lord Ruler was actually Rashik, a Terris Pac-Man, the ferrochemist accompanying Alendi, which also explains what that mysterious room was used for and why he was old in it instead of his regular youthful self. It was where the Lord Ruler went to store up his energy. Vin now knows what she must do, and somehow she draws upon the mists themselves in order to pull the bracers off the Lord Ruler despite them being embedded into his body. This causes his body to rapidly age, and Vin finishes the quickly deteriorating once God Emperor off with a simple spear. It is revealed that Kelsier transferred the Kondra's contract, or Seer, over to Vin upon his death. Despite having just done the impossible and overthrown the final empire, Vin worries about the Lord Ruler's final words, speaking of how in killing him, she has doomed everyone, along with confusion on how she had manipulated the mists. The book ends on a happy note though, and Vin, not the same girl who started this story, chooses to stay with Elend and embrace the love he can offer her.